Hi, thank you so much for joining me today for today's Vinyasa Flow yoga class. I'm Mandy, and if this is your first time joining me today, welcome. Thank you, Becker Community Center, for allowing me this opportunity to come into your living rooms during this time. I really appreciate this opportunity, and if you're finding value in my videos, I would love it if you would comment and let me know. That would be so great. Once again, I hope this video finds you feeling well. We are going to do just a nice Vinyasa flow this morning. Get our blood pumping. Let's start by coming into our breath. If you're comfortable, lightly closing your eyes. Doesn't look to me like it's on. And it is. Sorry about that. Fishies look dark. All right. So let's just take and sit in easy pose. Nice, tall, straight spine, grounding down through the sitting bones. Lightly closing your eyes if you're comfortable with that. Reaching the crown of the head towards the sky. And let's just take a notice of where we're at with our breathing, lightly placing our hands on our knees, either palms up or palms down, whatever feels good today. And just noticing where we're at with our breath currently. No judgment, just feeling where we're at. Noticing any tension in the breathing and in our bodies, just noticing. And we're going to start taking some long, slow inhales in through the nose. Bringing that breath all the way down to the belly. And let's release through the mouth 3 times. Nice, long, slow, deep breath into the belly. Audible release through the mouth. 2 more times. Really getting all that air out. That's great. Let's use the Ting Sha bells. I'm going to have you bring a long, slow, deep breath in all the way down to the belly when I tell you to start. And we'll hold it slightly. And when I ring the bells, let's listen carefully to the sound of the bell and slowly release the breath until we hear the sound no longer. We'll do it 3 times. Nice, long, slow, deep breath in. Last time. Hopefully feeling nice, calm, centered, grounded. Sitting up nice and tall. Let's begin to warm up our neck. Taking a gaze to the right, back to center, to the left, and back to center. Let's look up, slowly reaching our neck, stretching through the front of the neck, and releasing to center and bringing chin to chest. And when we have our chin to chest, let's slowly start bringing our head around for a few nice, long, slow neck rolls. When you get chin to chest, let's go back the other direction. And bringing head back to neutral. Reaching arms up, tall, reaching up nice and tall. Let's take the left hand to the right knee and do a twist, bringing that right hand back, sitting up nice and tall, and bringing our gaze over the right shoulder. Twisting all the way through that nice, tall, straight spine. Releasing head, neck, shoulders, reaching up nice and tall once more. Nice deep inhale and exhale, bringing left hand to right hand, left knee, reaching back with that left hand and gazing over your left shoulder. And releasing head, neck, shoulders, coming back up. Once again, let's bring our hands to a tent on our fingertips, just to a tent on the mat. Let's take our right ear to our right shoulder and lifting our left hand. Just gently, lifting your right hand, just gently pulling your right ear towards your right shoulder for an extra stretch there. And releasing, and let's go the other way. Left ear, left shoulder, right hand, just gently elongating that stretch. And release. And now let's take our left arm up, bringing our right arm to the mat. Let's bring our right arm to our left arm, left ear, and just stretching on the side. And back up. Left palm to the mat, right arm up to your right ear, and just a nice gentle stretch. And coming back up. And now let's go into tabletop and begin to stretch our spine. So we're stacking, taking some time here to make sure that we're stacking our wrists beneath our shoulders, stacking knees beneath the hips. Hips are shoulder, our feet are hip distance apart, shoulder width apart. And let's start warming up the spine with some cat-cow movements. Dropping the belly towards the earth, reaching up through the crown of the head. Inhaling cow, exhaling cat, rounding through the spine. Inhaling cow. And exhaling cat. Inhaling cow. Exhaling cat. And let's come to a neutral spine, and we're going to take our right hand out long, left leg out long for spinal balance. Nice long line, fingertips to toes. And 3 times, let's just take elbow to knee. Bringing knee to elbow, rounding and straightening. 2, 3. Back to spinal balance, and then we'll bring our palm to the mat, knee to the mat. Let's go the opposite side. So bring our left hand out long, right leg out long for a balance. And elbow to knee. Left elbow, right knee. 1, 2, 3. And back to spinal balance. And placing the hands on the mat, knees on the mat. Let's bring our big toes to touch and gently sitting back onto our heels. Let's bring our knees out long. We're gonna go into a extended child's pose. So bringing our belly down to the mat and gently walking your hands forward with the goal of the chest and the forehead down to the mat. Let's just take a few breaths here in extended child's pose. One more breath, long, slow, deep breath. And let's here, moving back up, coming back into tabletop. We're going to thread the needle here. So coming from tabletop, we're going to lift up the left arm. We're going to thread the needle beneath your right shoulder, placing your left shoulder on the mat, left cheek on the mat. Let's take our right hand out long and just stretch the shoulder one moment here. Bring our right hand back to our face, pressing back up. Left arm up and back to the mat. Right arm reaches up and thread the needle down underneath, placing the left shoulder, left cheek on the mat. Right cheek, right shoulder on the mat. Left arm comes out long. I apologize. One more breath here. And bring our left hand back, pressing back up into tabletop. We're going to make our way to our first downward facing dog. So tucking all 10 toes, spreading your fingers nice and wide on the mat. So just take a few moments here. Maybe pedal out your feet in your first downward facing dog. Pressing through with the goal of the heels coming back all the way to the mat, but if you cannot get there, that's not a worry. Spreading your fingers out nice and wide, feeling all 10 toes, making contact with the mat. And pedaling out your feet, whatever. Take whatever movements here in your first downward facing dog that feel good to you. And we're going to look towards our hands, and we're just going to take a few steps coming up to the front of our mat with nice bent knees. We're going to come into ragdoll pose. So we're going to keep our tummy against our thighs. We're letting our head hang long and maybe grabbing opposite elbow. Taking a few sways here in ragdoll pose, side to side. Maybe bending and straightening one leg and then the other. A little bit of movement here, allowing your head to just really hang long and loose and feeling that space that's being created in the spine and the neck. Just take a few breaths here. And releasing your hands, we're going to come up to halfway lift or monkey, so you can put your hands on the ground, coming up, sort of straightening the legs and coming up to a nice flat back. You need to bring your hands to your shins, reaching the crown of your head and neck forward, nice and long. And let's bring our arms out to a T and just balance here for a moment. And bringing your hands back to your shins. Let's come into a forward fold. So hanging all the way down, straightening the legs as far as we can straighten them at this point in the practice. And let's slowly roll up to standing tall mountain. Just one vertebrae at a time. Just taking a nice, slow head, neck, and shoulders coming up last. Very nice. Now we're going to begin our first Vinyasa flow. We're going to start with a sun salutation, reaching up high, reaching back, gazing towards the fingertips, and coming in slowly forward to a forward fold. Coming up to a halfway lift, coming back down to a forward fold, and planting our hands on the mat. Let's step back one leg, then the next, to a high plank. Now in our high plank here, let's make sure that we've got our shoulders, that our wrists are stacked beneath our shoulders, tailbone towards the mat, nice strong plank pose. Now lowering down to the mat, chaturanga, if it's in your practice. If you're chaturanga, you're gonna do a half push-up, keeping your elbows tucked into the chest, keeping knees off the ground, coming into an upward dog. Option there is to bring the legs all the way down to the mat, lowering all the way down and pressing up to cobra. So from cobra or upward facing dog, let's tuck all 10 toes and press up to a downward facing dog. Take a few breaths here in downward facing dog. And gazing towards our fingers, let's step, walk, or float back to the front of the mat. And rise all the way back up, tall mountain. We'll do that one more time. Tall mountain. Coming down into a forward fold. Coming up to a halfway lift. Coming back down to a forward fold. Planting our hands, stepping back to plank. Lowering down, chaturanga if it's in your practice. Upward facing dog. And downward facing dog. And glancing towards your hands, step, walk, or float to the front of the mat. Rising up, we're going to keep it going. We're going to add some Vinyasa flows. All right. Coming down into a forward fold. Coming up to a halfway lift. Coming down to a forward fold. Planting your hands on the mat. Step back to plank. Lower down, chaturanga. Upward facing dog. And downward facing dog. From downward facing dog, we're going to take our right leg high. Let's take that right leg high and open up that hip. We're going to take it, open up our hip, bend your right knee, and just allow that foot to fall towards the floor. Take a few turns of the ankle one direction, few turns of the ankle the other direction. And let's straighten the legs, square the hips, and let's take our right foot and step between our hands. And we're going to come into a low lunge. So we're going to place our right knee onto the mat, put our foot down on the mat, or you can keep your toes elevated, whichever way feels good for you. And rising up, keeping our keeping our shoulders down away from our ears, yet we're stretching towards the sky, nice and strong. And bringing our hands back to the mat. Let's step our left foot forward to meet the left. And rising all the way back up to tall mountain. Do that one more time. Halfway lift. Placing our hands, stepping back to plank. Lowering down, chaturanga, upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Now this time let's take that left leg high, opening up the hip, bending the left leg. Take a few twists of the left ankle, one direction and the other. Straightening the hips, straightening the leg. Let's step forward, dropping the knee, coming up to a lunge. Coming back down, planting our hands on the mat, and stepping the left leg to meet the right. Coming all the way up to tall mountain, coming back down, forward fold, coming up to a halfway lift. Coming down, planting the hands, step back, plank, lower down, chaturanga, upward facing dog, downward facing dog. We're going to take our right leg high, and we're going to place our right toe behind our right thumb. Taking our back foot to a 45-degree angle, we're going to rise up, coming into warrior one. Once again, shoulders down away from the ears, but reaching up nice and tall. Our back foot is at a 45-degree angle. We have a 90-degree angle in our right front leg. We're going to drop our hands down behind us and grasp our fingers, interlacing our fingers, reaching up, opening up through the chest, gazing forward, pulling our fists down towards the ground, opening up the chest. And we're going to do humble warrior. So we're going to slowly hinging forward at the hips. Our goal is to bring our right shoulder to the inside of our right knee, head or shoulder. Slowly hinging forward at the hips, lifting back on the arms, sinking into that 90-degree angle in your right front foot, and bringing your hands up nice and tall. You can even rest your torso on your thigh. Take a breath here. And let's release our hands and bring them down to the mat. We're going to pop up off that back foot and coming up into a standing splits. Take one breath here. Bringing our foot back down to a low lunge. Let's step our right foot back to meet the left, coming back into a downward facing dog. We'll do that on the opposite side. All right, here we go. So we're going to take our left leg high, bending the knee, taking a few turns of the ankle. One way. We're going to step our left foot behind our left thumb. 45-degree angle in our back foot, rising up to warrior one. Nice tall warrior, feeling nice and strong through your legs, bringing our hands back to grasp behind us. Pressing the fists down towards the earth, opening up through the chest. Gazing up towards the ceiling. And hinging forward at the hips. Bringing our arms up behind us. Coming down as far as is comfortable. The goal of bringing the head next to the left knee. We'll release our hands, bringing our hands down to the mat, popping up off the back leg to a standing splits. down, low lunge, step back to meet it, downward facing dog. And looking towards our hands, let's step, walk, or float to the front of the mat. And rising up to tall mountain. Coming down once again to a forward fold. Rising up to a halfway lift. Coming down into a forward fold, placing the hands on the mat, stepping back to plank. Lowering down chaturanga, upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Now I'm going to start with my left leg for this flow, just because that I'll be facing you. Start with whichever foot works for you. So I'm taking my left leg high. I'm going to step my left foot between my hands. And I'm taking my back foot to a 90-degree angle and rising up into warrior two. Nice strong warrior two. Here, pressing into that outside of my back foot. Pressing into a nice strong, sinking down into that 90-degree angle. Arms are active, hips are facing alongside of the mat. Let's do reverse warrior. So I'm going to take my right arm down my right thigh, flipping my palm, bringing the left arm up. Even come into a back bend here, slight back bend, gazing up towards your hands. And coming back down, let's bring the elbow to knee, bringing the right arm up. Reach down for a block or even down to the mat. Extended side angle. Gazing up to the left hand, to the right fingers. Rising up. We're going to come up into a 5-pointed star. Toes point out. Arms are reaching up to a nice 5-pointed star. Hands, palms together, bringing them down into the chest and coming down into a squat, to a prayer squat. Rising back up to a 5-pointed star. Coming down once again into a prayer squat. Rising up to a 5-pointed star. We're going to take and we're going to turn our right foot towards the back mat. Our left foot comes to a 90-degree angle. Let's come into a warrior two facing the back side of our mat this time. Flipping that front hand. Coming up, reverse warrior. Coming down into extended side angle. From extended side angle, let's go back into 5-pointed star. Down to prayer squat. 5-pointed star. From 5-pointed star, let's take our feet and place them facing the front and bending, hinging forward at the hips. Come into a wide leg forward fold. Reaching down towards the mat. Coming up to a halfway lift. And coming back down to a forward fold. Rising up one more time to a 5-pointed star. And a warrior two back towards the front of the mat. From warrior two, we're going to windmill our hands down and once again come up to a standing splits. And from the standing splits, it's coming back down to a low lunge. Stepping back to plank. downward facing dog. And we're gonna do that same flow on the opposite side. So this time I'm going to raise my right leg, do the opposite leg of last time. Gazing between my fingers, between my hands. I'm gonna step my right foot between my hands. Back foot goes to a 90-degree angle, rising up into warrior two, towards the front of the mat. From warrior two, I'm gonna flip my right hand, palm facing up. Left leg goes down, left hand down my leg, reverse warrior. And coming down into extended side angle. Coming up into 5-pointed star, facing the back of the mat now. Coming down into prayer squat. And up into 5-pointed star. Back down into prayer squat. Back up into 5-pointed star. Taking my left foot, pointing my toes towards the back of my mat. Coming back to warrior two, facing the back of the mat. Reverse warrior. Extended side angle. Coming up. 5-pointed star. Prayer squat. 5-pointed star. Taking our feet square towards the front of the mat. Bending forward at the hips. Coming into wide leg forward fold. Reaching our arms down to the mat. Coming up into a halfway lift. And coming back down to forward fold. Rising back up to 5-pointed star. And transitioning to warrior two, facing the front of the mat. From warrior two, facing the front of the mat, let's pop back into standing splits once again. And coming down into a low lunge, stepping right foot back to meet the left. Chaturanga, upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Now we will step, walk, or float to the front of the mat and coming down into a seat. Sitting up nice and tall, nice tall straight spine. Legs out long in front of you. We'll do a seated forward fold, reaching up nice and tall. Basket weaving your hands and reaching them down over your feet if that works for you, or just bringing your arms down. Let's go with a nice straight spine, hinging forward at the hips. And when we get as far as we can go, let's just drop the head, allowing gravity to take that stretch deeper. And slowly walking our hands back. Let's do a wide leg stretches here. So we're gonna reach up and twist our torso towards our right foot. Let's take our left foot and bring the sole of the left foot into the inner right thigh. Reaching up, let's reach down towards that right leg. See if we can't lay Reaching our head towards our knee. And slowly rising back up. Let's switch sides. Left leg goes out long, right foot to the inner left thigh. Switching our torso, shifting towards our left foot, reaching up nice and tall and bending over the left leg. Releasing, coming back up to a seat. Let's bring the soles of our feet to touch for bound angle or butterfly pose. You can wrap your hands around your ankles, around your toes, sitting up nice and tall through the sitting bones. And let's slowly bending forward, hinging at the hips. You can press your elbows into your legs and knees for an extra stretch if that works for your body. And just hinging forward as far as your hips will take you. And allowing the head and neck to come forward, reaching towards your toes. Long, slow, deep breaths here. And slowly rising back up to a seat, and we'll make our way down to our back. Keeping our knees up at a 90-degree angle, coming down into your back. Let's start by placing our palms on the mat on either side of us. You can walk your feet up towards your glutes for bridge pose. We're going to press through our feet, pressing through our palms. Take a roll of your shoulders back and pressing in through the shoulders and bringing our chin to chest. Taking all pressure off the neck and pressing up through the hips. Taking 2 breaths here. And release almost all the way down to the mat, hovering and pressing up one more time. And release. Let's bring the knees all the way up to the chest, wrapping the arms around the knees, giving a nice hug. Maybe rocking back side to side. And bring your knees out, arms out to a T, knees up to a 90-degree angle for a supine twist. You can rolling your knees off to the right side, keeping your knees stacked, or if you want, you can stagger your knees for a different stretch. You can take the right arm and just lay it on your left knee and taking our gaze over the left shoulder. And just breathing into the stretch. Release the hand if you've got that there. And bringing your knees back up to center and off to the left. This time, bringing your gaze over the right. Looks like I got too much stuff here. gazing over the right hand, right shoulder. And releasing your legs, bringing them back to center. We're going to do our last pose before Savasana, Happy Baby. So bringing your arms or your feet up, opening up your legs, and grasping onto your calves, your ankles, the outsides of your feet, the insides of your feet, or even taking peace fingers around your big toes. Whatever works for you and your body. Let's try and bring those knees down to the floor with the idea of the entire spine. The entire spine flattening against the mat, feeling the whole length of your spine against the mat, opening up through the hips, maybe rocking back and forth a little bit here. Whatever feels good to you here. And releasing the legs out long on the mat. Into our final pose, corpse pose, Savasana. Final resting pose. So allowing your legs to fall open at a comfortable distance, allowing the feet to fall open. Allowing your arms to rest a comfortable distance away from your body. Taking a roll of the shoulders, bringing those shoulder blades down the length of your spine, ears down away from the shoulders. And let's release any control over our breathing. And allow our entire body to just relax and release any tension. Imagining a glowing golden ball of energy hovering just above our toes. This golden ball of energy has magical powers to relax and release tension from our muscles, allowing them to just melt into the mat. This glowing ball of energy is hovering just above your feet, and it touches your toes, your feet, your ankles, the lower halves of your legs, your knees, the upper halves of your legs, your pelvis, lower back and tummy, upper back and chest, shoulders, upper arms, elbows, the lower parts of your arms, your forearms, wrists, fingertips, palms, reaching up your neck, your face, your entire head, releasing tension and in the jaw, bringing your attention to the third eye area between your eyebrows, releasing any tension there. Allowing your breathing to be slow and relaxed and natural. Since you're at the comfort of your own home and living room, I can really encourage you to continue your Savasana just as long as works for you. Maybe pause this video and resume when you're ready to resume. Gently rolling onto your side. Wiggling your fingers, wiggling your toes, slowly and gently coming back into your body, keeping your eyes closed. Using your arm as a pillow. Take a moment here and recognize where you're at, how you're feeling. And take a moment for gratitude. Gratitude is such a strong, powerful emotion. Feeling grateful for this practice, feeling grateful for this day, but mostly feeling gratitude towards yourself for taking this time for self-care. Showing yourself appreciation. Sending love and light to yourself and others. And slowly and gently come back up to a seated position. Seated posture, easy pose. Thank you for joining me. May you have peace in your thoughts, peace in your words, and peace in your heart. From my heart to yours. Namaste.